Welcome to Cascade Talks, celebrating 10 years of Cascade research.
Croeso i'r sgyrsiau Cascade, dathlu 10 mlynedd o ymchwil Cascade. Dyma podlediad sy'n trafod yr ymchwil a'r arloesi sy'n digwydd ym maes gofal cymdeithasol I blant.
A podcast that discusses and explores the latest research and innovation in the field of children's social care.
Well, hello and welcome back to our Cascade 10-year anniversary podcast series. I'm Sally Holland. I'm a professor of social work here in Cascade. And one of my things I do in Cascade is to lead on public involvement for Cascade. So I'm really glad to be able to welcome Jen today, who's one of the central figures for us here in Cascade on public involvement. Can you introduce yourself, Jen?
Hi, I'm Jen. I've been around for a long time. Since the start, I've learned many skills since I've been here, and I really enjoy it. And it's changing my life, being part of Cascade.
Great. Well, we'll come on to talk a bit more about what you've done and how it's made you feel, things that have been difficult, things that have been easy, as we get through this podcast. But it's just so nice to have you here. And the reason we've invited you specifically, Jen, because we involve dozens of people every year who've got experiences of social care services to help make our research better. But we wanted you, Jen, to do this podcast for a particular reason, and that's because you've been around in Cascade before Cascade even had a name, didn't you? So can you remember anything about, those days when we were just getting Cascade going, but before it had a name?
Yeah, so back then I was still volunteering and doing a lot with Voices from Care Cymru. That really gave me the start in this field when I was 17 and I met the CEO, Deborah Jones, and she said, come with me and I'll change your life. Then there was lots of whispering and talking amongst professionals and non-professionals about this new exciting part that everyone was going to put together and how it was going to look, and it got me very intrigued because I was really enjoying doing all the training with foster carers and volunteering and learning about politics, but I wanted to get stuck in, and I've always loved the academic side. And then I was like, we'll do it. Didn't think how far it'd come, and only now looking back, it's crazy to think that was a whole 10 years ago.
It really is, because you've done so much in that time, haven't you? But we already knew each other, didn't we, before we were even thinking about Cascade. So Voices was already, I call it Voices for short, so do you, don't you? Yeah. But it's Voices from Care Cymru, which is a self-advocacy charity for young people who are care experienced in Wales. And we were already involved with the university and Voices really closely, weren't we? So I was on the board of trustees as a social work academic, helping them with sort of the research side of things. And you were on the board of trustees, weren't you?
Yeah, so I was there as the non-professional, as learning about how organisations work and really feeling like part of it, not just doing the work as a tick box exercise. And it helped having that relationship. I was like, I'll trust you, see where we go. And who thought that all these years later we'd be here until conquering, and it's still doing some amazing things. There's so much ongoing. I won't put any spoilers out there, but there's lots of Cascade working on, and it's so exciting at the minute.
Yeah, and I had a really good experience already of working with Voices in terms of developing things together. So, we had already co-produced stuff together with Voices, some bits of research, but also helping our social work students really understand what it feels like to have a social worker, really, wasn't it? So you helped with some of the teaching, didn't you?
Yeah, it was really exciting to come in and be teacher for the day and mess them all up and move them all around and be a little bit bossy, but also to give them the real understanding of what it's like to be a service user, because it's like textbooks are okay and classes are okay and lectures, but it's about being there, the understanding of what it's like being on the receiving end of them services and making a difference. I didn't have a very good experience growing up in the care system. So my mission is to change things for the better. And through the work with Cascade and Voices, I feel like I'm able to get there, especially when you hear work being talked about in the Senedd and in documents that the Welsh Government are bringing out. And through their meeting so many professionals here that work with Cascade, it's helped change the world. And we were able to nag and help with pushing the need for some of the research that I've been involved in, and getting a professionals like Dr. Louise Roberts to do some of the work. And it's been really inspiring to see that change and that grow, and how just from a simple conversation you can change things and empower and impact research and outcomes. And
yeah, definitely. And it did grow from very small beginnings, didn't it? So Cascade was really just an idea originally, and we didn't have a name, but we knew that whatever we set up, it would really have to have people with experiences of services at the centre of it. And so, you know, I was just so lucky that I already had this relationship with people like yourself and people in Voices. And we invited a group, didn't we, to say, would you like to be our first research advisory group for this new centre? And we invited you in for a bit of training. Do you remember?
Yeah, so I was really scared when I first went to the university. I was thinking, I'm not academic. I hadn't done anything since being in school. Like, I left school with quite a few GCSEs, purely because I was determined, after statistics come out back in the day, that K experienced people wouldn't do anything. And I was like, how dare you government say this? I'm going to do something. But I only left with like 11 GCSEs, and I didn't really have a plan of what was going on next. I'd gone on a really dark path, just not feeling empowered, like I could do anything and make change. I can remember sitting there the first day being really nervous that you was all going to talk like teachers, and it'd be like really over my head. But it was really nice and chilled. I felt like I'd come out there every day like feeling like, whoa, I can really do this, really make a difference. And I met some lovely people along the way that are now lifelong friends.
And people were brilliant, I remember, on the course, because you were all quite different, with different backgrounds, and some people had left school before they'd even got to 16 or done any exams, and other people had gone on and stayed in school. But you all had this really important expertise, which was that you knew what it felt like to receive services. So we just tried to sort of demystify research. I don't know if you can recall, because it is 10 years ago, more actually, it was 11 years ago, because it was before we launched Cascade. But we did things like, rather than just saying, you know, you can do surveys, you can do interviews, we tried them out. So we wrote survey questions and went around the building asking people questions to see what could go wrong with a survey question and that kind of thing. And I think you sat in some classrooms and observed the students. The students obviously gave permission for that. And then you came back and looked at what you could learn from observing people as well. So we tried to make it like learning through doing, didn't we?
Yeah, we were very lucky. We got to come and actually observe some of your classes, Sally, which was really weird. It was weird for us because we'd only known you as on the board or part of Cascade and sitting there, and it was amazing for me just watching like how these students were just going from being in these classes and what they were learning to like putting into theory. You only ever think of social work as the bubble of what you were doing, like, and you were a little bubble of what's going on in your life. But the wide spectrum of what social workers got to learn, it did give me an understanding, and it's taught me a lot. It's taught me to be a bit fairer to the social workers. So I give them a bit of an easier goal then when I understand that they've got millions of cases, not just yours, so when they can't get back to you. But it also gave me that thirst for knowledge to understand and to learn more about my rights and to help people. And I'm one of them now that will always like advocate positive rights for young people, and anyone that needs to, like, my friends will come to me if they need to know how to do something. It's amazing to see how it's grown, to think how from just a few conversations, a few of us in our classrooms now, the 3 spans of departments that Cascade has, it still sometimes baffles me what box or what meeting I'm in and what aspect of Cascade, but it's been phenomenal being part of it, and I feel really lucky to be part of this Cascade and the charity, the organisation. And every day, like, I get surprised every day. There's nothing that I'm like, oh, it's routine. There's always something new that comes up, and and
you help keep that fresh. And I think that one of the things that really struck me is, as you've got more experienced, is watching you support and encourage other people who might be here for the first time to give advice because they've had experience of services. You know, I really see you supporting people and giving them advice about how to take part, but also how to look after themselves as well.
Yeah, I think that was really, it did really come across, especially in the pandemic, when Rachel Vaughan came to me and she said, I got this idea, I want to do a parents group. And I said to her, just do it, just go. I said, I'll come. I said, just do it, be part of it. And now seeing how much that I've grown, I've like made some wonderful friendships from that group, but it's been really good for me to see that it's not just because I'm a care experienced parent, that parents have come from all backgrounds that have services. It's given me that confidence in my parenting. It's given me that confidence to know that I can go on and live a normal life, because we're all different ages on that parenting group and all different backgrounds. But it was really important how like Rachel took that and during a pandemic, which was really hard, and how Cascade kept working and supporting us through that by helping us with like the social media side of it, getting media equipment, like helping us to make sure we had access to internet for being able to Zoom meetings. And still, even though we weren't in the person in the office, Cascade was still very much thinking of us and being there. Like they were sending us the little boxes just to say, we're thinking about you, checking in on us after meetings. Because obviously when you're in an office situation, it's easier for people to comfort you if topics can sometimes be upsetting when you look back, but you still very much felt like Cascade was there.
I've so enjoyed coming back to Cascade and seeing how the public involvement side has grown. So we've talked about Cascade Voices, which is our long-standing group of young people, young adults who've grown up in care. But as you've mentioned already, there's another standing group we have. So when we say standing group, we mean groups that advise lots of different projects, is the parents group, which, as you say, started in the pandemic and has really gone from strength to strength because we do lots of research about parents' experiences. And I was wondering if we could go back now and think about a specific project you've been involved in. That's what with Louise Roberts, that you already mentioned her name, but that group, that work she's done with parents about being a care experienced parent, you've been really central to that, haven't you?
Yes. Well, if you ever read Dr. Louise Roberts' book, my letter is in there, and this really has impacted things. Recently, I was in another event, and like the people that were running the event didn't know that I was there, and it was really amazing to hear them talking about Dr. Louise Roberts' work and mentioning how they'd read my letter and how it touched them, and that's why I really do everything that I do. But it was really important that Louise listened to myself and a lot of parents who were all having these same experiences of children being removed, services not being provided to us, that whole aspect of the postcode lottery of how people get treated if you're in different areas of Wales, to go then to the Senedd, to the Petitions Committee, really, really scary. It was really scary, but it was really empowering for myself.
So just to recap quickly, that research idea came from parents. So I remember so well sitting in a meeting in Voices, and it was probably you and also some other parents, and Deb, who runs Voices, was saying, we think that parents who are care experienced get a really hard time. We think they're more likely to lose their children. They're more likely to have child protection involved. Sally, is there any research in this, Sally and Louise? And we said, well, we really hear what you're saying, but we don't know whether what you're experiencing, how widespread that is. What we really need to do is to get some research going on that. So on the back of that idea, because that, I have to admit, that wasn't necessarily the top of our research agenda at that point. So you put it there. We got one set of funding, then we got more sets of funding, and we were able to show both statistically how care experienced parents were more likely to have that kind of involvement, but also what we would call qualitatively. So get the stories about what people's experiences were. And I think you've sort of given away the ending in a way already, but you know, it is a piece of research. I'm so proud of what Louise and you and the other parents have done, is that, you know, you have made a real change. It's become, you know, recommendations from Parliament committees. Every local authority in Wales and quite a few outside of Wales have taken on the Parents' Charter that you and the other parents wrote to say, you know, this is how to support us when we become care experienced parents. Do you want to just give away a couple of things that you think parents need if they're care experienced and they're expecting a baby?
Well, for me, most importantly, is having somewhere to live. Because for me, I was still subject to a care order, and then I went to have my first child, and they instantly forgot that I was still their child. Like, technically, legally, I was still their child. And they were corporate grandparents, and it's just reminding them to use their corporate parenting and grandparents' rights respectfully and responsibly, and not just focusing on the baby so much
changed
as
how they
in the
viewed
parent,
you as a
and
person. Yeah.
also understanding like the process you go through if the child is removed, the grief process, when you're told you're either not emotional enough or you're too emotional. It can be very, very difficult. And also, it's such a taboo subject, or used to be such a taboo subject, that until we started having them conversations amongst us as parents, we didn't realise that how many of us were going through. We thought it was just us. I think, unfortunately, one of the biggest downsides is society doesn't really understand how it does. Most people think that if you're a bad parent, straight away social services remove your child. But for a lot of young people, it's the fact that they were in the system, maybe haven't got somewhere to live, haven't got somebody to support them, haven't got a family network. And it's just remembering it takes a village to raise a child, and not to judge people. I think the biggest problem is being judged straight away just because we were in the system. And you hear a lot of social workers, or when you're in the court arena, saying, "Oh, but they didn't have a very good child upbringing as a child." My argument is, well, you were our corporate parents, so you should have maybe done a bit better, not judged us then when we become parents ourselves. So it's just about support, understanding, and knowing that not everybody got the answer. We're still always learning. Like I still think I'm an adult sometimes, but I'm learning things all the time.
Yeah, we'll come on to that in a second. But, just to finish off on that piece of research, I think what's been so important about it is not just that Louise didn't just do the traditional thing, which is just go out and interview people and ensure their voices or experiences were included, but you drove the research. And I know you didn't stop. So once she'd got her results, published her book, you said, yeah, okay, so what next? How are we going to make sure local authorities know what to do? So you wrote the charter, and then since then it's been, okay, so how do we know whether they've made changes as a result of that charter? Because anyone can sign a charter. So you and the other parents have just kept driving that forward. So it's very much not been Louise in charge, but you've worked on it together, haven't you?
And yeah, one of the best things about it is Louise treats us like an equal on the project, and everyone else involved. You don't just feel like you're there as a tick box exercise, and it's been phenomenal to see it grow. It's still growing. There's still many things going on. Seeing all the local authorities signing up, and now there's 22 counties in Wales. Back then I didn't realise how, I thought we were only tiny. But it's amazing to grow, and I'm very excited to go around and see if people are doing their work and doing everything they signed up to do.
You've mentioned, Jen, a couple of times about what a difference so we've talked about the difference it makes to research and hopefully to social work practice, you being involved. But what difference do you think it makes to individuals who get the chance to be involved in research?
For me, first of all, I was just doing it as something to do. But it's over the years, it's helped me to grow. It's helped me to have not only a purpose in life, but it's given me self-esteem. I'm constantly reminded by professionals in CASCADE office, and as you've said today, about many a times, and I'm like, yeah, I did forget that it's actually because of me things are happening, or like the ideas, or how just important it is, and making that change. I've never ever felt on a different scale to any of the staff that work in the office. It's also helped me to grow as an individual. It's helped me to grow as I'm now doing a degree through the Open University to get the skills, because I've got all this knowledge and thirst to go on to do things. And it's helped me to realise that I can make change. I think one of the important things is I can make change, and giving me that strong fire under my feet. And also just the fact that you've taught me that it is okay to not always have everything together. Everything doesn't have to be perfect, and you're always going to be here no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, it's not perfect, is it? And we know there's more we want to do. So, I have to say I've gained so much as an academic and a researcher from public involvement. It's definitely changed how I've thought about things. Things I've thought, I've come bounded into a group with a great idea, and people have said, nah, it's not going to work. Why do you do it like this? And I think, oh gosh, of course. So, for me, it makes a massive difference as well. But it's just been so nice to hear about differences it's made to your life. And we've heard other people that have been involved in our research say the same, but we know we can do better. And I think we should maybe sort of think now for the last bit of this podcast is, where have we got to, and where do we want to go next with involving people in Cascade. So you're now on the board, aren't you? The Public Involvement Board.
Very exciting. As I said earlier, I forget sometimes when I'm in the office what part I'm into. I think firstly, we've already won one award and I want to see us winning many more awards. That was so exciting.
We haven't even mentioned the awards yet, have we? But you and others got an award for the LACE project, Looked After Children Education project, didn't you?
Yeah, it was really exciting because I didn't know when I was told to turn up to this venue, and then I was like ushered onto the stage. I was like, wow, oh my gosh, and then what had happened? And again, it was one of them real surreal moments when I was like congratulating all the staff, and they were like, no, Jen, you've been part of this. This is because of you.
And you were a peer researcher on that project, weren't you? So you were a full part of the research team.
And like, I don't want to give any spoilers away because they might get beeped out, but like being able to say I'm writing 2 academic papers at the minute helping to write with Cascade, people in Cascade is amazing.
I'm really enjoying. We're writing together, aren't we, with a few others about the parents group and what it might mean for research. I just want to see
Cascade grow. I'm very excited to see where the next 10 years go. I'm hoping by then I will be an employed member of staff. I'm thinking, do I take Sally's job or Donald's? I'm going to check their pay.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to happen next, or how one piece of work is going to lead on to, like you said, lead on to something else and grow and grow and grow and grow.
Well, Cascade wouldn't be the same at all without you and your contribution that you've made over the last 10 years, and also all the others who have helped give us that really important advice and expertise based on their own experiences. So I just want to finish off this podcast by saying thanks so much, and I can't wait to see what we do next together.
It's very exciting, and thank you for trusting us and giving us that voice.
Great. So thanks very much.
Diolch am wrando ar y benod hon yn ein cyfres o bodlediadau Sgyrsiau Cascade 2024 sy'n dathlu 10 mlynedd ers sefydlu Cascade.
Thank you for listening to this episode in our 2024 Cascade Talks podcast series celebrating 10 years of Cascade.
Mae'r ganolfan ymchwil a datblygu gofal cymdeithasol I blant yn ymdrechu I wella llesiant, diogelwch a hawliau plant a'u teuluoedd.
The Children's Social Care Research and Development Centre strives to improve the well-being, safety and rights of children and their families.
Diolch I ymchwil iechyd a gofal Cymru am eu cefnogaeth ariannol.
We'd like to thank Health and Care Research Wales for their funding support.
Ac I gael rhagor o wybodaeth ynghylch ein dathliad 10 mlynedd a gwaith Cascade, ewch I cascadewales.org.
To find out more about our 10-year celebration and the work of Cascade, visit cascadewales.org.